What's up? What's up, guys? How's everybody doing? Let me know if you guys can hear me and see me. Let me know. Latte check. That's why I was a little last minute here, guys. Second one. So going 4 shots deep on espresso this morning. Sweet. Audio, video, good, cool. All right, let me just get my software going here, guys. You guys can't see on your end, but like I have a whole battle station going on here with 6 27-inch monitors. It's completely unnecessary and out of control, but I have so many different things. Really not that complicated as far as trading goes, right? I have a couple charts and order flow stuff, so I could trade with 1 or 2 screens, but all the different streaming stuff going on, Discord. If you guys are not in the ChartFanatics Discord, I recommend joining. It's free. I have a channel in there. I'll be dropping like screenshots and stuff that I talk through as far as analysis. What glasses are these? These are the Gunner glasses. They have very slight magnification, like I think like very slight. It's not like really like correction glasses at all, but they're the Gunner, G-U-N-N-R-A-R. I have no relationship with them. I just like the glasses. And they filter some blue light. I just find like at the end of the day, my eyes are a little less exhausted and I get less headaches and stuff wearing these throughout the day personally. So, yeah. All right, let me get this going here. How's everyone's week going? Slow down with the latte? Never. I was out seeing Christmas lights with the kids last night, got to bed kind of late. So we pump up the lattes this morning. It's been a pretty chill week, honestly, guys. I'm pretty flat. It's been a pretty choppy, grindy conditions. We've had kind of these stair step up, elevator downs conditions and a pretty large channel here on ES. So I'll get into the analysis here to start the day in a few minutes and share with you guys what I'm watching. But as always, I try to check the chat as much as I can to answer you guys' questions. If you missed it, last Friday, the markets were kind of closed, kind of, half holiday day. So I wasn't looking to trade that, but I did do like a full order flow trading masterclass. So especially good for kind of beginners, not beginners to trading, but just beginning to understand order flow more in depth. So that was super good. If you check out the live stream recording here on YouTube from last week. Very neutral. I'm always neutral, guys. Like I'm always like just coming in. I come up with a game plan, scenarios that I could see play out one way or the other, but I never come in with a bias where I'm only looking to trade the upside or downside, whatever. But the market, we've been grinding higher on ES, NQ. I haven't looked at NQ too much. I'll give it a glance. We've been slightly grinding higher. However, still pretty neutral conditions overall, right? Pretty neutral, pretty balanced. All right. So guys, highly recommend checking out the sponsors here, TradeZella, getting yourself the discounts that are shared here. Again, like I always say, there's a ton of work that goes into making these streams happen and, putting out all the content that ChartFanatics and the Words of Wisdom team does, and that was only possible with all of these sponsors, Apex as well. So highly recommend checking them out. Use the discount codes, take advantage of that if you're in the market for those things. Yeah, drop a like if you guys are appreciating and finding value in the free live streams that we're running here on ChartFanatics pretty much every single day with phenomenal traders. Good morning, team. Good morning, Marco. What's up? Marco's in the chat. Funded next as well, guys. Grab yourself a discount code if you're in the market for those. Again, All great sponsors. That ChartFanatics vets only works with the best. So highly recommend if you're in the market for those. Partner up with one or use one of these that we're partnered up with that we vetted. They pay people out. They do, people right in the industry. Funded next as well. There's a code for that. Is Apex doing 60%? It'll be whatever the discount is, that code will get you guys the best. That's currently going on. If my slide deck here is not updated, that code for ChartFanatics will get you the best deal that's going on. 100%. Yeah, what's up, Marco? Marco is a runner as well, but he hasn't done back-to-back marathons. We need to all peer pressure Marco into getting a marathon done. What's up? What's up? All right, so we'll get into the analysis here, guys. If you aren't familiar, this is Bookmap. This is what my favorite tool overall for using for doing order flow analysis. Sorry, guys. My favorite tool overall. There's always next year, right, Marco? And next year there'll be next year too. So, so this is my favorite order flow tool overall. If you guys are new to it, I highly recommend checking out the live stream that I did last Friday, and I kind of went over bookmap and footprint charts as well. Again, if you're not in the ChartFanatics Discord, I'm going to be dropping screenshots in there in my channel. So if you want to follow along with the analysis today and different things, then I'll be sharing it in there. Sound good, guys? Gotta give Marco a hard time here until he gets a marathon done. To be clear, guys, Marco's probably way faster than me. I just run far. All right. So how's everybody's week going? Have you guys, it's been a pretty dramatic transition from the high volatility and nice price swings that we've had for the last like couple months. We've had some nice volatility, nice price swings. I'm just looking at my 4-hour chart here. I always start out just kind of going through the charts, which you guys will see with me here right now. Get this on screen. So, I mean, just looking at the 4-hour chart, you can see like for the last, just going back on my chart here, since mid-October, we've had pretty nice price swings, pretty good volatility. And then especially the last couple weeks, we had this really nice down and up volatility. That was pretty good. And then since, this holiday, we've had this really grindy channel, right? Where we've just been kind of grinding higher, quick drops down. And then we'll get into more on like the volume profiles and stuff, what I've been watching, excuse me. So, it's a transition, and anytime the market conditions shift like this, a lot of people will trade like really well down, really well up. Hopefully they're on the right side of the market, but then, and I talked about this last week as well, if you're not quick to adapt when the market goes from uptrending to essentially balanced, then you will pay with a lot of losses, and to learn that lesson. And then a lot of times by the time people adapt to those conditions, then we start downtrending or uptrending again from here. So it's very important every day to be very, very cognizant of the different conditions that the market is in, and making sure you're adjusting the way that you trade them. Or, if you don't have setups for different types of conditions and different ways of trading, then, be ready to just sit on your hands until there are good conditions that work well for your setups and work well for your trading system. But a lot of people keep hammering the same square peg regardless of whether the market conditions, being the hole, are a square hole, a round hole, an oval hole. They keep just hammering the same thing, or possibly different things, different pegs into all different holes, because they have no idea what they're doing to align, setups with the conditions, right? So it's extremely important to identify this. And obviously, I've been talking about this all week, pretty much since the start of the week, that we're kind of in a difficult area, kind of between the supply that formed on this last swing high, and also buyers, got aggressive and broke above these prior highs. So we were kind of between a rock and a hard place, I would say, between, the aggressive buyers that were sustaining above these prior highs, and also, this kind of supply area, right? If I extend that out just roughly, right? You can see how we're like resisting here, resisting here, resisting here, resisting here, resisting here, but also buyers are really, also on the flip side, defending these sharp drops down and kind of continuing to grind our way up. So definitely lacking conditions, lacking continuation in these conditions. So generally, again, I talked about this last week, but generally, I look for bell curve volume profiles on the day, or kind of multi-day. Sometimes I'll kind of look at them together. And the highest probability thing for me in these conditions is looking for failed breakouts and failed breakdowns, just targeting the mean reversion to the middle, right? So if I can just find a way to catch this piece, and I want to caution also against trying to catch, it's tempting to catch the ultimate high or the ultimate low, but you can rack up a lot of paper cuts doing that. And it tends to not, you want to wait till the momentum shifts, wait until you actually have really good confirmations. And then the best opportunity is just catching like from there to there, or from there to there, right? That good high probability piece, when the momentum shifts and we drop back, eventually, right, we're going to, get out of this. We're not going to be in these conditions forever, right? But if you take every trade trying to catch the absolute high and the absolute low, and even targeting the other absolute high or up their absolute low, you may rack up a lot of losses trying to do that. And then you need to catch that massive trade just to make back all the losses that you took. So it ends up being just not even worth it. The best move in these conditions is looking for the mean reversions on the failed breaks, failed drops, and just trying to, not bottom ticket, not top ticket, but just catch it with good confirmations when it shifts, and just catch it for the mean reversion. Does that make sense to everybody in the chat? Have you, and somebody said they're, send me a message, Rashad. It's gonna be hard for me to look at that with you here right now, but send me a message on Instagram, and I generally try to be responsive and help people out there. Sometimes those indicators don't load on Tradeovate, and you just need to restart Tradeovate. It's kind of annoying, but. All right, so, oh crap, I didn't drop that. That's my bad. Oh well. I'll try to drop these screenshots. That's all right, we're gonna go over it again here on my actual volume profile. I'll try to drop these screenshots in the ChartFanatics Discord, guys. $9.16. So we got 15 minutes till the open here. I can't speak on Bitcoin or gold, guys. I don't really touch those. I think both, long term, I'm forever bullish on both Bitcoin and gold, right? Because I think fiat currencies are doomed. That's just a nature of business, right? Or nature of markets. But as far as like trying to call short term if they're going up or going down, whatever, I don't trade them, so I'm not like super into them the way I am with the S&P and the NASDAQ and things like that. So I can't really speak to that. I'm not the person to ask for that. So me switch my colors here, guys. Go blue for volume. So I'm just looking at how we've continued to like build volume just slightly higher and higher. This one's actually a little bit different here so far today. But you see how each time we kind of break highs, we reject pretty sharply back lower. And we've seen this just on repeat, and then it lacks continuation and we grind back higher. Again and again and again. So honestly, my top game plan for today has kind of already played, which was, again, the failed break over these. It has kind of already played in the pre-market. And again, the mean being, we could look at the middle of where all this volume was built from yesterday. We hit that, right? Right in the middle of where all this volume was built yesterday. So to me, the best opportunity was one, looking for the failed break over these prior day highs. The same thing we've just continued to see play. Then, looking for the momentum to shift to find an opportunity to take it short, right? Just targeting from here to here, which already played right here in the pre-market. That was kind of my first top game plan today. Now that we're in the middle, as long as we kind of stay in the middle here, I don't want to touch too much in the middle, to be honest, right? We have all this volume built here, here. And so pretty much anything inside of that is don't touch it range for me. Now, if we kind of hold above here, I may, look to trade this retracement, but I don't love that setup. It would be kind of a quick, low risk little scalp. So let's talk about a couple things here. Let me clean this up with my eraser a little bit. Talk about a couple things that I'm watching here this morning. So the first thing is we had this little area of low volume on this sell-off that we're kind of coming in for a retest. And it was right where we broke these overnight lows. So one thing that I'm watching is if we pop here and sellers again reject, to take it short and just target another retest into this high volume area, this consolidation area, another mean reversion. You can see how that kind of happened yesterday. We hit it once here, once here. So another small scalp probably piece like that. So that's probably my first thing here this morning. The second would be is if we rally back up again and again fail between 85s to 90s ish. If we get strong above there and are going for the breakout, I'm not going to try to catch a top on it, right? In fact, I may sit back and wait to see if there's an opportunity to play the breakout if that comes. But the other thing would be is if we manage to pop all the way up there again and then drop down. But there's another reason. There's two reasons why I don't love that. One, we already got a drop and we already kind of tested this mean reversion setup, so it already played. So the fact that we've already kind of dropped in there and held makes it not so ideal for me. But I'm still going to watch it, right? I'm still going to watch and just see what the market tells me in real time. I'm really going to be gauging what participants do in the auction today. I have these scenarios that I'm watching out for. There's these things that could play. However, I'm not married to any of these ideas. I'm going to be watching what happens. Yeah, if I see us, drop again and I see good signs from buyers that kind of now defend here above this high volume area, the same area that would be kind of like a target, then I may be open to scalping that long. But ideally, I would like to see a further drop back towards either prior day lows, or if we drew like a trend line down here, you know, somewhere more down here. And again, just target a mean reversion back into that range. Drop this in the ChartFanatics Discord. So again, it's very much a wait and see for me today, just because of how up and down this week has been. There's not really like a super good, clear directional trade, in my opinion. There's also not, you know, we're kind of grinding our way up in a channel, so there's not a super clear like flat balance range that we're trading around. So it's tricky conditions for sure. So these are just some kind of scenarios that I'm watching out for, and ultimately they are kind of they're not kind of, these are both kind of mean reversions that I'm looking out for here. Okay. Let's see. Hopefully that's not too messy for you guys, and you guys make that. Yes, multiple people have said it. I do see it. I am aware. We have news coming out at 10 a.m. So we need to be very mindful of that. PCE and Michigan consumer What is it? Yeah, consumer sentiment, consumer expectations, PCE. So there's a number of different news things coming out at 10 a.m. which we need to be mindful of. So I will not be, you know, holding a trade into that. So ideally, if I catch a trade, it would be at least like probably 5 minutes after the open to, you know, 9:35 to 9:45 range if something sets up in that time window. I'm not going to hold a trade into the news unless I'm, you know, substantially in profit and have already scaled out, and I'm just kind of holding runners as a YOLO. And I don't really recommend people do that, but that would be the only scenario that I have a trade on going into the news. What else? Can we have a look at NQ? It's really kind of the same thing. Yeah, so really kind of same thing. This is where all that volume was built yesterday. Again, that bell curve volume profile that we talked about. We kind of, you know, just popped these highs and rejected right back down into the middle of it. So again, same thing. The best setup that I had in mind, you know, going into today was this, and it's already played, was to catch this piece. So hopefully some of you, if you watched my training session that I did on here last Friday, maybe if you watched that and you were trading in the pre-market or overnight, that was a great opportunity. So slightly different levels, but the overall analysis and things that I talked about as far as what I'm looking for on a setup here are all pretty much valid on NQ as well. I don't trade based on the news fundamentals, but I'm just aware when it comes out, because it's gonna induce a lot of volatility, and the tape gets very thin, meaning there's not a lot of orders on the bid and the ask, so price can very unpredictably move quickly up and down. And so, you know, if you're an intraday trader with a relatively tight stop loss like I do, you know, there's a good high chance in that kind of a thing, it's just going to be a gamble and your stop's going to get swept out. It's good. It's good. Good week so far. It's just making the adjustments to the different conditions. You know, to be honest, I'm like slightly above break even this week. I've had the right game plans for some good trades, but unfortunately I was chopped out of them before they occurred, and I've taken a lot of break evens this week. So I've been at the right pivot points for a lot of my trade setups, but it's just gotten a bit choppy, and I've had, I don't even know how many 5 to 10 point trades come back on me break even this week. Like a lot. But it just is what it is. I'm adapting to the condition changes just like you are. And I'm doing it in a way where I, manage risk very well. So I'm not, paying with a substantial amount of losses for the new information that we get as we've kind of adjusted to these conditions. But anytime we have a drastic change from going from really nice volatility, up and down moves, to kind of grinding in a channel, it can become quite tricky. Now, there's still plenty of opportunity. We've traded some pretty good ranges up and down. So there's still tons of opportunity. We've just got to adjust slightly the way that we manage trades, adjust slightly the way we manage risk, etc., to adapt to the conditions. Yeah, we got that news coming out at 10 a.m. Good questions, though. Guys, market's about to open, so we're going to watch the order flow here. You guys know the game plan. So to the upside, if we go, we're kind of testing that key area that I talked about right now, that low volume node area, and we're kind of filling it in, which was right around 75-ish, plus or minus a few points. So we're kind of right there right now. See, did I miss any questions? Yeah, I would say the biggest thing that I don't love about, now trying to catch this top here for another rejection is just the fact that we already took out yesterday's highs in the pre-market, and we already sold off down into the mean reversion target. So that move has kind of already happened. And once it's kind of already happened, I don't love trying to catch it again so soon anyway. It would almost be better if we went and, broke the highs again and then, found a failure point. I have already talked through the game plan this morning, guys. If you go over to the ChartFanatics Discord, I did drop the screenshots of what I was talking through. To me, again, just reiterating, I'm still looking for the mean reversions until, conditions really change. And it's very much a wait and see what develops here with the auction, what develops with market participants. We're seeing a lot of large aggressive buying back into the highs now. So we're about to break the overnight highs again, which we're already breaking yesterday's highs, with a lot of large aggressive buying here. Look at that. So when I'm looking at the order flow, guys, I'm always looking at the size and speed of aggressive participants to really get a feel for the pace of the market and, how price is moving, who's in control of the market. Like if we're seeing large aggressive buying, on the pushes over highs, and then like weak small selling on the pullbacks, it could be potentially more breakout opportunity. But how many times, if you were trying to catch breakouts this week, you probably got hurt. So need to wait until we don't want to assume a breakout is going to occur. We want to very much wait until the market telling us that is actually occurring. Can you talk about how institutional algos work, especially during high impact news events? I'm not a quant at an institution, so I can't really accurately speak to that. But I can, I have a lot of setups around different order flow activity that I see that is often probably driven by a lot of algos. But as far as how they use them and how they intend things like that, I can't really speak to that. You'd have to find a quant that works on developing those. Yeah, if all these aggressive buyers just rallied up into these highs, we actually just came a couple ticks off of breaking the overnight highs. The overnight high is at 68.8625. Well, we did hit that. We hit it to the tick right there. So this DOM data for me clears out at the 9:30 open, guys. So I have my, so I see the volume profiles and stuff for the full daily range, and then this session volume profile and my depth of market information here, which is, just a breakdown on aggressive buyers and sellers. You can, we talked about this last Friday as far as all the DOM stuff, but this clears out after 9:30. So it's just the New York AM session after 9:30. But if we see a lot of effort up here at these highs, and this goes back to kind of Wyckoff theory, market auction theory stuff. But if we see a lot of effort from buyers, just a substantial amount of buying again and again into the highs, and price is not moving any higher from there, what is that inferring to us? There are larger participants on the other side, passive participants selling to them, right? So if we continue to see all of this aggressive buying, all this aggressive effort from bulls to get over the highs, and we can't do so, eventually, once that effort has run out of gas, it's going to be very easy, to start that waterfall back down, right? Because it's going to be a combination of aggressive sellers coming in, plus everybody that was a buyer is going to be stopping out, and they're going to then be a seller to stop out of their longs, and that's going to trigger that quick violent reaction back the other way. If you want a good overview, let me drop this in the chat. Just theoretically, like what I'm talking about. The old Microsoft or Google AI overview is really good. Here, I'll drop it in the Discord. Yeah, I just dropped that in the ChartFanatics Discord. That's a good read to kind of understand. Checkmate, you can send me a message on Instagram. Yeah, all of this stuff just cleared at the it clears automatically at the 9:30 open. There's a setting in here in Bookmap under my DOM settings. I'm not seeing it because I'm on the TM Lite. That's another thing that I'll talk about for you guys. Reset options. 9:30 a.m. reset. So it clears all that data out for me. So this has been going on recently. Again, if you guys are a Bookmap user, these annoying bracket orders that make it kind of hard to see stuff on the heat map. This has been a phenomenon that's not always been. It's been the last couple years, especially around contract changes. But if you use this TM Lite add-on, it does filter out that annoying bracket order. So you can see over here, see all that. That makes it kind of hard to see stuff. So this is just the TM Lite add-on, and it filters that out. I just have it on the low sensitivity setting. I really don't like to use this because I don't want to filter anything out, because I don't want to accidentally have something filtered out that would be key or important. But when this is going on this bad with all these bracket orders that are kind of spoofed, they're not really filling or anything, it's just creating all this visual noise and making it hard to see, then I do go ahead and use this. So tough location here, guys, because we're coming up, we're 20 minutes away from the news. We're just kind of hovering right around the overnight highs. A lot of aggressive buying right off the 9:30 open. Personally, I didn't really see any opportunity there. It was just kind of an extension of this move here. And if we take a look at my footprint chart here, this is a good visual. You can just see down here at the bottom, I just have the cumulative delta for each of these. These are 5-point range bars. I've talked about this many times before, but it's just all buying since 8:45. Just all aggressive buying. But keep in mind, all this aggressive buying, and we still are not even above the overnight highs. So that could certainly set up for a strong, fast drop back down if sellers enter the chat. Because if this breakout fails up here, everybody that was a buyer is going to be a seller as we drop back down. And I'm actually watching this pretty closely now for a short here. I like how this aggressive selling is starting to come in. I'm going to possibly watch this here now. If we get a little pop, we're kind of breaking those prior lows with aggressive selling here. We'll see what happens. All right, I'm trying a short here. In at 80, I'm just going to have a stop over like 82. Kind of want to see this drop pretty fast and aggressively. I'm going to go. I really want to see this break under VWAP. I don't want to see us hold here. So if we hold here with some aggressive buying, I may cut this break even pretty fast. I'm kind of preemptively speculating that we break this VWAP level. If we spike up back through my entry now, I'm going to close this break even just over 79. Trying to give it just a hair of breathing room, but I don't want to hold this for a big loss if these sellers fail here. Yeah, I'm going to close that break even. If we pop back up here and I see sellers reload again, I may re-enter, but I just closed that break even. I don't want to see VWAP get defended. There's not that much buying though. It's kind of like a stop hunt. So I'm watching to re-enter this short. If we recapture above like these 82s, I'm not gonna be interested. We got the reaction that I wanted. It just got, the dip got bought right at VWAP there. All right, I'm trying this again. Very, very, very tight stop. I want to see it go like right now. I'm in at 80 and I'll stop over like 81. I want to see it drop right now. Otherwise I'm out. We got news coming out in 15 minutes, so. If it comes back over this 81 high that we just made there, I'm out. And I'm just targeting probably a drop back under like 71 here, under this little low from the open. But to really confirm this, I want to see aggressive selling get under VWAP here. If we can't do that, then struggling here. It's probably going to stop me. Yeah, I'm out. It's fine. 1 point stop loss. Literally, the risk was like almost nothing for a potential 10-point drop there. I liked how that aggressive selling came back in. And we tried to reject off that, but again, we're just kind of chopping too much. And this is what's happened to me multiple times this week. But I liked how that aggressive selling came in to break back under these buyers from the open. And if they would have, I do believe we would have had a very quick 10 to 15 point drop there. So it was worth the risk. And it may still happen. We may just be kind of stop hunting a few times before it goes. We're getting close to news though. Like I didn't really want to be in a trade after 9:45. It's going to get thinner and choppier. Okay, guys, by the way, I forgot to mention, speaking of Apex on here, we have some giveaways coming up today as well. So stay tuned for that. We have Apex, Funded Next, Alpha Capital, all to give away today. I'm not trying to catch this again up here, guys. I still like the possible failed break out here. You know, again, just targeting that mean reversion. It was kind of B quality, but it was, the risk versus reward here was so high that it was worth me taking a stab at it. And I lost a point. Who cares? But buyers are still defending that spot here off the open so far. Kind of back above this area too. What I liked here though was just how, one, we got back up to the overnight highs. All of this aggressive buying kind of fizzled out, right? All this effort from buyers at this time was not able to get over this. And then all of this aggressive selling started coming in. And so I was looking at these pops to go short. And, you know, I caught it at 80 twice here. And, you know, stopped out break even on this one, re-entered, cut it for a point here. It was worth the risk though. The risk was minuscule. I liked seeing this heavy selling come in. And initially I was up from 79s to 74s. I was up 5 points on that. I was up 5 points on a 1 point risk and it came back. So it's all good. What are your thoughts on finished and unfinished auction at the highs and lows? Not too significant to me, to be honest. That's a normal. Are you talking about like when we hit a high or a low and there's like 0 transacted on the one side bid or the ask? That happens often. Good question. I was trading 2 contracts. No, it just wasn't my target, right? I knew it was a low probability trade, but the risk versus reward was so high, it was like possibly 10 or 15 R. So if I'm going to take that trade, I'm going to hold for my, 10 R target. I'm not going to just, even though it's tempting, cut it for 5 R. Right? Because if we broke this low where these aggressive buyers were and sellers tried to do it here, if we did, I don't see anything stopping at least a 10-point drop into the 70s to 60s. So that's what I was targeting. So yeah, it was tempting to close out for 5 points when I had it, but that wasn't my target. So I don't want to be in the habit of just closing trades before my target, even if it's up 5R. So aggressive buying still coming in, guys. We just broke slightly over the overnight highs. We're 10 minutes away from the news though. Joe said, I feel I was a pretty good quality trade given the location and the price action. Yeah, I mean, this is a trade that I take. I will repeat this trade 100 times if I see this setup. The aggressive buying into the highs. We're in balanced conditions. We saw aggressive selling sweep under this low. We popped back into it at the time, right? If I move this out of the way, look how small that buying was as we popped back into here. That aggressive selling was hitting the lows. So it was a good trade. I would take that trade 100 times. And, this is one that took me out for a 1 point stop. Who cares? 50 or 60% of them will pay me 5, 10, 15 R. So it's all good. How many trades do you take per day? Generally like 1 to 3. We just swept those overnight highs and some interesting orders hitting here. Kind of a sweeping order there. 1,400 lot. I'm looking. I didn't see that. Yeah, 1,400 lot. Look at that positive delta there at 85s. So that's a 1,500 aggressive buyers tried to break out those highs and didn't go anywhere yet. So potentially a large passive seller sitting there, but a little tricky to catch because we're just a couple minutes till news now. And this could just be, we've seen so much aggressive buying this morning. It could just be that if you guys go back to the sponge versus the faucet example that I talked about, it could just be that, yeah, we're seeing the absorption from passive sellers up here distributing. However, pause, comma, we're still seeing enough aggressive buying that we're just continuing to squeeze up. So if that's the case, then this could be an example where the faucet turns into a fire hydrant and we go break out the highs. That would be new information though. It would be a mistake to look for that every time over the last week though. We see each time we've poked over the highs, we've rejected back lower. But you got to stay very neutral and see what develops here. Yeah, I'm not, even though I, am tempted for things, I'm not going to get into another trade before the news here. We got 8 minutes till high impact news. Steven 18 asked, do you trade on a 1 minute time frame? I don't trade on time frames. So my footprint chart is a 5-point range bar, and Bookmap is just the real-time orders as they come in. So I zoom in and out on this between like 30-second intervals, and then I'll frequently zoom out to like 10 or 15 minute spacing. I look at the market structure and price action overall. Intraday, I'll generally keep like a 2 minute and a 15 minute chart open, or sometimes just a 4-hour chart, just to maintain perspective. But all of my like entries and trade execution is coming from just watching the order flow on Bookmap and footprint charts. I don't look at like a structure that forms on a 1 minute or a 2 minute candle or anything like that for that. There's no time frame on my footprint chart either. It's in 5-point range bars. So every time we open a new 5-point range, it'll open a new bar. So that gives me a good feel of the pace of the market, because I'm not just looking at candles open for every time period. I only see my bars on the footprint chart move as aggressive buyers are able to actually move price. And that's a really great tool to maintain perspective of the pace of the market and not get chopped up when things get choppy and you start maybe seeing something on a candle chart and you're like, oh, this is it, bro. No, it's not it. So yeah, no time frames for like the entry setups and stuff that I look at. But I do look at candle charts just for overall. It's a nice, quick, and easy way, especially with volume profiles, to analyze like the market structure overall and things like that. 5 minutes till news, guys. 5 minutes warning. Watch this be a big nothing burger today on the news. Like no reaction with all this high impact on Friday. We're just seeing a lot of continued aggressive buying. Like this was a nice opportunity. I don't feel bad about, taking a small L on that at all. However, new information has come out, which is aggressive buyers are just continuing to be aggressive into the highs up here. So I don't want to try to tick a top again, like I talked about in the pre-market game plan, recipe for not trading well to do that. In this instance, we kind of saw top form with aggressive buying, kind of failed to break out the overnight highs, and then we saw aggressive selling came in, and then we retested it. So that looked like a nice opportunity just to scalp that back down here towards the middle, down towards 70. But now, we're a couple minutes till news. We're continuing to see a lot of aggressive buying come in. So we're just staying patient. I don't think I fully answered. Somebody said, how many trades do you take? Yeah, generally like 1 to 3 on average, I would say, per day, but I don't have like a hard rule on it. I do have a hard rule, like, if I take 3 losses in a day, I'm done, period. So I have a max loss limit and max daily loss. And I don't trade until I hit that every day. Like that's just, if I see good setups and I take good setups, I'm just going to cap it if I take 2 or 3 losses in a day. Just because when that starts happening, mentally it can start derailing you, and you can start making lower and lower quality decisions if you continue to push yourself. And the majority of blowups happen after, you just push yourself too far, rack up some small losses, start revenge trading, start over trading. So you want to prevent yourself ever getting to that point. How do you build discipline? Highly recommend building discipline in other areas of your life outside of trading. For me, that's like running and, you know, doing other difficult things that I don't necessarily want to do. Start building discipline in other areas of your life, and it will translate into trading as well. Good questions. Good chat today. If you guys are enjoying the streams, I highly recommend smashing the like button. Helps us out a ton. It's free to do. Yeah, I meditate before the market open as well. Yeah, if I can just, even just 2 minutes, 3 minutes, highly recommend doing some meditation. For me, I try to start every day just focused on winning slow and sucking less. So not trying to like control short-term outcomes. You want to focus on, you know, just understanding that this is a probabilities game. You cannot control the outcome, no matter how good of a trader you are, no matter how good you can read the markets, read the order flow. You cannot control the short-term outcome. You have to accept that you can't and understand that this is just a probabilities game, and you need to manage risk, manage trade setups consistently over a long period of time to reap the reward, right? So if you can consistently manage the same trade setups, the same trade management, the same risk management over the next 50 trades, 100 trades, 1,000 trades, that's where you're going to be able to reap the reward. But if you are so focused on winning now every day and not winning slowly over time, then you're going to try to control the short-term outcomes. You're going to overtrade, revenge trade, and you know you're going to be just constantly fighting yourself. And then the other thing that I focus on every morning starting the day is just sucking less, right? So I just think about my best setups, my best trades, the things that I have planned for the day, and focus on just finding that, and not they go hand in hand together, right? Not forcing things that are just not in the cards that day. Because, and generally that happens because you want a short-term outcome. You want to make money now. And so you'll force things that are just sucky trades, that are not good trades, because you want to make money right now. So to me, I just try to start every day like resetting mentally and focusing on that, just kind of quieting the mind and just focusing on that every day. So here's the 10 a.m. news. Another little surge of buying. We're just kind of continuing to grind up here. We'll see if we fail back below the 86s, which is the overnight highs. We're just a couple points over that. So, I mean, to be honest, it looks like a ton of buying effort, and we're just not super far over the overnight highs. But again, I don't want to try to catch a top. You know, if we are going to stay strong with this buying and just keep breaking out today, then maybe today's the day we break out of this 4-hour channel that we've been in all week. Get rid of this here. But look at all this aggressive buying here at the highs. We popped a little bit again on the news, didn't get too far. But we're definitely nearing the point of sellers are going to want to reverse this thing. And if they don't in the short term, then this could turn into a solid uptrending breakout day. Go to my charts here and have a look around. Yeah, 4 hours looking strong. We had another dip there, and now we're, kind of at the highs, coming into that prior swing high area from November 11th and November 11th to 13th, that swing high area. We may be going to take out those highs now, back over just over 6,900. We're just 7 points away from that, 6 points away from that. Giveaways, we will have giveaways coming up soon. We have Apex accounts, Funded Next accounts, Alpha Capital accounts. '86 is major delta outlier. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, I mean, this thing's looking like it wants to be a breakout day. We chopped in that channel all week, and Friday maybe we're gonna go squeeze out and break out. But I didn't personally, for me, for the setups that I like, I didn't see anything to be a part of it. If we retest back down here and we see a really strong defense from buyers, then that would be interesting. Let's say these highs to here. That area is interesting. I'm gonna get rid of this now. This is no longer anything. Yeah, if we pull back into where all of this aggressive buying was and we continue to squeeze that out today over this balance range that we built, then that would be interesting. Show you guys on the volume profile what I'm looking at here. Again, I have a little bit of a tough time doing that because that's been failing all week and we just keep dropping back and mean reverting. So like until that changes, like this is what we keep doing and mean reverting. But this is, you know, especially given the context that we already mean reverted in the pre-market, held in here. We had this kind of balance range form, but now we're getting pretty aggressive breakout over it. Kind of watching that. I would have liked to see a little pullback there before going all the way up to 6,900 though. Which other aggressive green bubbles? Are you talking about like these ones down here? These ones up here? It's just not as, it's not as big, it's not as key. What am I going to draw a green box on the whole screen? Not really. These were these large aggressive buyers right at the 86s, which is where we broke the overnight highs. So if we're going to look at like a break and retest, I'd kind of look there. There's also like a little low volume node here that formed as we squeezed above there. So if buyers are really strong, this breakout, I'd really want to see them hold, you know, here or slightly above. But, you know, there's not, you know, since we squeezed out the highs, you know, first of all, it kind of occurred right on the news. So unless we were jumping in a trade like 5 minutes before or after the news, and even then, I don't really see any opportunity. We just kind of squeeze straight up. So once we squeeze straight up, we squeeze straight up. So just one of those things where, yeah, it's moving, but I didn't really have a setup for it. So. We'll see if a pullback comes, if anything happens with it. Maybe it will. You know, if we quickly drop back into here and I see good confirmations, I'm not opposed to taking it. Again, it would have been a lot better for me if we would have got that before hitting these 6900s, because the 6900s would have been the first target that I really wanted. 6901s is still intact. It's just that those prior swing highs from November like 11th and 13th. What was that? Yeah. November 11th and 12th. So, you know, if we go take out those swing highs and then reject quickly back lower, then it becomes harder to like continue to trade that play, because the target was kind of hit, and if we reject from there, it's tricky. All right, guys. Continues to be a week of survival. Surviving. Let me get this going here. We do have giveaways to run. All right, guys. So we're going to do some giveaways here while we continue to watch this. We've got the Apex account, Funded Next account, Alpha Capital account. So you're going to enter this keyword in the chat one time. If you spam the chat with it, you won't be selected, right? So you have to enter it one time. But we're going to go !orderflow in the chat, and you will be entered for the giveaways. Yeah, somebody said, Joe said, really frustrating week for me. It's important to not let the conditions impact our emotions as much as we can, right? We're human, so it's impossible to not have any emotions about it, but we definitely want to disconnect those from our decision-making processes, right? So, you know, yeah, it's frustrating for me too. I've taken a number of break evens. You know, I'm still keeping my head above water this week, but this has been one of the toughest weeks I've had in a few months for sure. Just adapting to the conditions, really. It's a very, you know, this is probably the tightest, choppiest week we've had in a while. So we're adjusting. We're going to close it in just a minute, guys. So ! Orderflow in the chat one time if you want to be entered for the account giveaways. But yeah, we want to disconnect the emotions from the market conditions, right? It just is what it is, right? We need to be kind of stoic about it. And it's our job as traders to adapt to the different conditions, right? So it's not, I'm not blaming the market like, oh, I'm not doing well because the market, you know, it's on me to change. It's on me to adapt to the market conditions, right? So the sooner I accept that and not be emotional about it and just see what is happening and what opportunity there is with it. And if there's not, then I just stay cash and I stay patient, because it's not going to stay like this forever. We'll have different conditions that align better with different types of setups. So, you know, if I go down that slippery slope of allowing emotions to, you know, get into my head too much, it starts impacting my decision making and my execution. All right, guys, we're going to close it now. So we've got everyone entered in ! Orderflow. We're going to run some giveaways. I'll throw it up here for you guys. But I think we've got a lot today, so we're going to close it now. Again, we've got Apex, Funded Next, Alpha Capital. So huge opportunity to get an account for free. I always recommend, regardless of whether you pay for a prop firm account or you get it for free here with us, you want to do your best to not gamble, right? Not treat it like sim or something, right? You want to treat it like it's real capital. Treat it with the seriousness that you need to, because ultimately the goal should be every day is just to continue to get better as a disciplined and systematic trader, right? Be a professional. That's how you're going to win in the long run. So you don't want to try to just gamble and flip accounts. So take the opportunity that it gives you and treat it with the seriousness that you would treat real capital. That's my best advice. All right, let me get the names. I've got the list, guys. All entries have been closed, so we're no longer accepting entries in the giveaway. If you missed the opportunity, don't worry. We'll be back with them next week. All right, guys. So let's run it. Gogu Trades. Let me know if you're in the chat. Gogu Trades, our first winner. So to claim this, guys, you need to go into the ChartFanatics Discord. Again, like I mentioned earlier, it's free to join. Highly recommended. Great resource. And go to the giveaways channel. And follow the instructions there. There he is, Gogu Trades. Congratulations. Put a W for Gogu Trades. All right, guys, let's run it. I'm running out of latte here, guys. I'm gonna need a third one. Abdul04 Aziz. Hope I pronounced your name correctly. Do my best. There's a lot of activity going on here, guys, around 6,900. Key hole number, that prior swing high from November that I talked about, that's like the last major swing high that we had on a 4-hour chart. So definitely a battle here going on. Abdul, are you in the chat? Abdul04. Some aggressive selling hit the highs here, 360 something lots. So that's a little interesting. We haven't seen that yet today. Yeah, there he is. Sweet. Yeah, I got it. Okay, cool. Again, if you're not tracking, you want to go into the ChartFanatics Discord to the giveaways tab. That's where you will claim your, just follow the instructions there to claim the free accounts. All right, let's go. Coley ZG. Are you in the chat, Coley ZG? Sorry, guys, I'm watching these orders hit here. It's kind of interesting around 6,900s, these highs. See if we're going to go break and squeeze again, or if we start getting momentum back down. It's definitely a battle right up here. Honestly, buyers have kind of taken control though. There he is, Coley. Congratulations, guys. If you didn't win, no worries. We'll be back again next week. Yeah, we're continuing to squeeze. Buyers have pretty much broken out of that channel to the upside. We're coming up to these prior swing highs. You know, it could set up an opportunity to scalp a short for a quick drop because we've had pretty much no pullback. But definitely want to be cautious with that. But if we, you know, kind of hit this swing high just over 6,900s and fail, you know, it could possibly set up an opportunity to scalp a quick short. But buyers have definitely taken control here. We still have those areas down below, that low volume node area. Sellers are kind of coming in here. Wait and see what develops. There was quite a bit of selling that hit right around 6,902, like 380 lots, 340 lots. We haven't really seen aggressive selling hit the highs like that all day. That's the first time we've seen some larger, several hundred aggressive sell lots hit the highs like that. $400 lot negative delta now. I'm going to kind of see if we see a little pop here. Might be a quick little scalp opportunity back to the downside for a quick little drop back under 68.90s. See if we see some offers. If we see some large offers appear, if we kind of pop here, telling me some larger passive sellers are now selling here and aggressive sellers, this might be an interesting little counter trend scalp back under 6,900. But definitely want to see some strong confirmations for it, like a large offer. I don't want to be the only one selling here. I want to see other large sellers first. If we go squeeze straight back up through it, then forget it. It's not really a deep enough pullback to a key area that I personally want to long. If we get a drop back down here, I'd be more interested. But I would maybe just be using a quick little drop down here as a target. We're kind of squeezing right back up into the highs despite this selling that kind of came in here. So nothing really significant. It's definitely a battle here though. Like buyers are kind of struggling for the first time here today. at the 6,900 area, which is that last 4-hour swing high. So now that we kind of took that out, I'm just kind of looking to see if we get a short-term kind of little failure over there and drop back down towards this target area. But again, I got to see really good confirmations, really strong offers appearing, selling. Right now, we're just kind of messing around. Yeah, reminder, go into the ChartFanatics Discord to the giveaways section and do that. Just kind of continuing to squeeze. Every little bit of selling is just getting squeezed. Not seeing an opportunity on my end as far as like trying to continue to long it. But yeah, it is what it is. What do you think about the volume rejection with negative delta? Where are you talking about? 7422? Not sure what you're talking about. You tell me where though, what price, at what time? I'll tell you what I think. It still just looks like we're struggling here at these prior 4-hour highs over 6,900. But I'm not seeing anything significant enough from sellers here. Buyers are definitely slowing down. So they're showing a bit of exhaustion. So if sellers decide they want to come in with size and aggression here, we could possibly scalp that back down. But it's a tough week for a lot of people, I'm sure. Anytime the market goes into these kind of conditions, especially the first week it transitioned to this after having a lot of nice volatility the last few weeks prior. Let me know in the chat. Are you guys leaning more looking for sells or buys? Are you looking for an area to go short, or are you looking for an area to go long? Let me know in the chat, long or short. The group opinion appears to be heavily short-sided, on the short side. Let me know. Are you guys looking long or short? To me, shorts would just be an opportunity to capitalize on a quick counter trend pullback, just given the fact that we've come so far with no pullback and we're kind of testing a key 4-hour swing high. At this point, not even sure. If you're not sure, it's a good time to close it up. Or at least just close out your broker for executing and just watch the order flow. Yeah, let's see if we get a pullback. Let's see what happens on a pullback. Above that, we have a daily order block. What does that mean? What is an order block? I mean that genuinely. So sellers are definitely coming in. We saw buying start to fizzle, start to fade, but does it step back in now that everybody sees this as a better opportunity to buy? Right? Is this going to attract finally when we do get a pullback, if we do get a pullback, is that going to now attract more buyers that did not see an opportunity because the market just kept going up? And now if it comes down, do they now see that as an opportunity, right? Do they see that as a sale price, right? I'm not anything biased right now, long or short. I'm just watching what develops. Bulls have clearly taken control for the first time, you know, outside of kind of this channel that we've been in. I am watching this area to see this is where sellers were trying to resist and buyers were looking exhausted, and we got a little sell back from it, but we're kind of continuing right back into it. Not seeing a ton of opportunity one way or the other right at the moment. Let me see what questions we got in the chat. Have you guys heard this before in a bullish market as price in the moon? Yeah, you definitely want to see volume and aggression increasing in the direction of the trending move. Right. So, you know, if buyers are in control, you want to see larger aggressive buying into the highs and weaker, smaller selling on pullbacks. And vice versa. If sellers are in control, we want to see large aggressive selling at the lows and weaker buying on the pullbacks. And if we do see a pop with, you know, larger aggressive participants against the trend, then we want to see if that gets absorbed by larger passive participants. Order block is the last opposing candles before a strong impulsive price move. Okay. So are you looking at them to be possibly like trapped participants? Continuing to squeeze higher. Back over these sellers that tried to resist these 6900s. Honestly, though, since 10 a.m., we're kind of relatively balanced. So since we made this high over here right after the news, kind of relatively just balanced here. Obviously, you know, zooming out, bulls have just stayed in control all day with large aggressive buying. Yeah, the best, you know, opportunity was honestly, I didn't see opportunity to buy this dip, right? To me, once we saw that continue to fail and the large aggressive buying come in over these highs, the best opportunity today was to then look at this area to go long, ideally before we already hit the 6900s. The problem was, for me personally, is that we did it right on the news and then we never really came back and retested it. So I wasn't personally willing to go long here at 658, 659 before the news. And then we squeezed out and then we never came back. So after that trade that I tried here, which is, you know, speculating we kind of hit that top of the overnight resistance, and then sellers were aggressive coming in. So we're like, okay, let's look for the mean reversion. Mean reversion kind of already played overnight and now it failed. So we kind of hit back into these 75s, defended at VWAP. Okay, got it. That information is new information. Now we're kind of breaking out above that balance range that we talked about with aggressive buying. Okay, got it. So then I marked this zone. So I was like, okay, let's look for a retest here to go long. In this situation, it happened right on the news and we never came back. So it just is what it is. But does that make sense as far as first looking for the mean reversion, but it already did happen in the pre-market, like I talked about. Then once we broke out over that, we saw it happen with aggressive, you know, relatively large aggressive buying. Sweet. Okay, now we're going for the breakout outside of this channel. Let's look for a retest that gets defended. You know, in this situation today, it squeezed straight out on the news, like at 10 a.m. on the dot, and we never came back. So it is what it is. But that is generally, in a nutshell, how I look to observe, you know, the best probability setups is one, like, okay, what's the condition? We're mostly in a range, moving slightly higher, but mostly in a range. Every time we hit these prior highs, we fail and mean revert. Got it. So let's first continue looking for the mean reversion. Okay, now mean reversion failed. Now we're breaking out over the highs with large aggressive buying. Now let's look for a pullback, you know, into those aggressive buying, get defended, and make another move up into the next swing high area of resistance being 6,900. That happened also. Unfortunately, it happened right on the news. We didn't get a pullback. We didn't have a setup. Does the analysis make sense for you guys, though? Hopefully that was educational nonetheless. So then it becomes a battle of the sucking less aspect that I talked about earlier, right? Okay. If we didn't get good confirmations, a good level, good time frame for the setup, now can we resist the urge to do anything that's different, that's outside of the plan, that's just going to make us suck, right? Can we sit by and just not suck until the next good opportunity? Personally, for me, the later and later it gets on a Friday, I tend to, be less and less inclined to get involved, right? If it doesn't set up, ideally not right on news, but, in the first 30 to 45 minutes, more and more participants are walking away going into the weekend. So volume and volatility can decline. Of course, nothing is always, right? Nothing is always. There's always, the only thing that's always is there are exceptions, right? So nothing is 100%, nothing is always, but as a general rule, the later and later it gets on a Friday, the less and less I look to get involved, right? And that's from personal experience and my own journals again and again, telling me to stop taking unnecessarily L's on late on Fridays. The best things that I see forming here is we're trying to form some resistance here at 6,900s. It's still cooking. I wouldn't necessarily say it's ready, but it's definitely brewing. If we look at all this volume built up here, if we really break that, especially back under 6,900, we could drop right back down into this last area. Given that this 6,900 area is a prior key swing high from like the 4-hour daily charts, definitely an area that we'd want to resist. Above this, there's really not much from, in my opinion, just going back towards all-time highs. So, either that, if sellers get aggressive and we kind of retrace back through this zone back into here, or if we try to do that and sellers maintain this strength that we've seen and, break out and just trade higher all day into the close on a Friday, which is possible. Anything's possible. But it definitely looks like we're starting to form a pivot point here. You can see how the point of control has shifted up here, around these 6,900s, 04s area. Or we could just do nothing. And probably the most likely scenario is just volume and volatility tends to decline on a Friday, and we just scribble around here into the close. Yeah, we ran the giveaways already, guys. We did do giveaways, 3 accounts. If you guys did miss it, don't worry. We'll be back next week with more. Again, we've got the live streams going daily in ChartFanatics. Let's take a zoom out. We are starting to see some larger aggressive selling starting to try to come in. If sellers kind of retake control, then we could quickly drop back down here towards these 6,900s or 6,890s to 80s. So we'll see if we get any kind of a little pop here. I may be open to taking that for a little scalp. Just given that it's been 45 minutes now of sellers or buyers trying to get over the 6,900 and have not, 45 minutes now, buyers have been trying to sustain over 6,900 and just haven't had the juice. A lot of selling coming in now. This is probably the most red I've seen on the cumulative delta so far today over a period of 30 minutes.
Yeah, the best to me would be now seeing all this aggressive selling in. I really don't want to be a first one trying to catch it, but if I see all this aggressive selling coming in, and then I see a pop where some heavy-handed offers absorb, you know, telling me that both aggressive and passive participants are trying to sell this now, then I'd be possibly interested on a very counter trend scalp, just targeting a drop back into like 68.90, 68.90 to 85. The Gavin, yeah, I do. You can send me a message on Instagram is the best way to reach out to me. Something kind of looked like it was going on here. I'm not sure if it got filtered. Look at that 6,900 offer. It did kind of get filtered. That's an example of what I hate that on TM Lite. It filtered that right there where that passive seller was. He pulled, but it still reacted right here. See if we pop back into this guy again. Yeah. I don't like that TM Lite filtered that because I would have wanted to see how that seller popped in there. It looked like it pulled, but it still kind of reacted aggressively here. But that got filtered on TM Lite. That's a prime example of something I really don't like about TM Lite, kind of filtering out an order that I'd want to see. Selling is definitely coming in here, so we'll see what happens if we get a little pop. We're flirting right at these prior swing lows, right around 96, 97. See if we get a little pop that gets rejected. It may just go now. That would have got me in this trade, though, had I seen this at 6,900. That would have got me in short, and I didn't see it until after the fact because it was not on TM Lite. Got filtered out. Oh, man. Well, we'll see if we get a pop here. I'm kind of watching this area where these aggressive sellers were, and then passive seller also there, right there at 6,900. And man, I'm a little ticked. I missed that. Right there. We'll see if a pop into there fails. If we go all the way down towards 68.90, that would kind of be the target. So it's not, you know, it's counter trend, just scalping a pullback. So if we drop all the way down there, I wouldn't be so interested. We'll see if we get another offer like this coming in here. If we just recover back up through this again, it's not really valid. And it looks like we might just squeeze back up through it again. Yeah, no defense again from sellers. So just squeezed all the way back up through it. What I was looking for here, guys, is if we popped back into here, I was looking for anything like this on the heat map to show me like a passive seller getting involved there. And just aggressive buying kept coming in and nothing happened. No sellers stepped in there. So kind of up here at the top now. See stepping in up here. It's not really looking like enough. Just kind of buying up through it. Yeah. No real reaction there from sellers defending that, just kind of squeezing right back up. So maybe we will reject from here. Now there's some selling coming in. Interesting order hit there. Yeah, I don't see much here, guys. To be honest, it's 50-50. So honestly, I think for me, it's not really worth putting on risk here at this time. We may reject from here, but I'm just not seeing enough that's giving me high confidence in it. Definitely best, I think, to wrap up for here for me. Again, going into the rest of the day, I'd kind of watch the resistance that's occurring here. And then the key area that I'd watch below is what we talked about. It's drawn over here on TM Light, is this area from buyers. So we're definitely seeing the resistance at 6,900. Again, this was kind of the target for longs. I would have wanted to see this, an entry for this before going and testing that. However, it did already hit. We're seeing some resistance here. So I like this, possibly for the shorts. It's just very counter trend and slow here. Buyers have really already taken control outside of the previous balance range. So it's not really super quality to look to do that. But it is possible setup to just scalp it back into this area here, this key area. That's what so when I was talking about this as a target, this is why this is this key area that we saw this large buying from earlier, from like 68.90 to 68.80s. Now some aggressive selling's coming in. So maybe it's going to go drop in there without me, right? As I sit back and say, I'm not going to take it. As soon as I sit back and be like, no, then it's going. It's all good. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in today. It's probably going to be a wrap for me. I'm not going to sit here and overextend myself into the afternoon on a Friday. So if you guys want more information on this, I highly recommend checking out the live stream that I did here on ChartFanatics last Friday. And also, if you have any questions, feel free to hit me up on Instagram, Matt Owen Trades. I'm very responsive to helping people out on there. But until next week, guys, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you. Peace.